1 year ago, I embarked on the journey of learning the Japanese language. At the time, I even made a complete guide on how to learn it. Since then, I've managed to study every single day, and in this video, I plan to give you a recap of how the journey has been, what I've managed to learn after more than 1,000 hours of studying the language, the ups and downs, the changes to my daily routine, and all my thoughts on what it's like to learn this language. So buckle up, because there's a lot to talk about. Before I start, I just want to say, actually, what you're seeing is some footage that I recorded before leaving Canada. Those were my last days after, I think, around 5 years living there. So I'm just saying this because, honestly, I haven't used English in quite a while. I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes. That's inevitable. But I just don't have time to write a script. Normally, I would do that. I have a general idea of what I want to say, so I have some pointers and I'm just gonna follow it. But yeah, I'm sorry if I stumble into words or if I just make many mistakes. But the thing is that it's been a year, guys. It's been a year grinding Japanese every day. I don't know. The previous video that I made, which is the only video in this channel, it's kind of like a guide of how to learn Japanese. And I'm going to go through what happened with that. But in general, I felt like in that video, I made clear that progress wasn't going to come that fast. And I think a year for Japanese is a short amount of time to actually have some decent progress. And also have in mind that I have a very busy life. I work 9 to 5. And aside of that, I have personal projects that I develop on my nights. Actually, I sleep very little. On top of that, there are a lot of things, like personal life and a lot of responsibilities that I need to carry. So the amount of time that I have to study Japanese is very limited. I guess we can start with general thoughts of this journey. It's been great to have the, achievement of everyday Japanese. That by itself, I'm very proud because it wasn't an easy year. As I said, I moved from one country to another country and there were a lot of changes and a lot of things happened. And I managed to, in between those movements, keep going. In that video that I made a year ago where I was explaining my routine, I said that I wanted to keep at least something constant. And I managed to do that. So every day there was something, even if it was just 30 minutes of Japanese. I don't know, I'm very tense. I don't know why it's getting very hard to just talk to the microphone. But anyway, I would say the hardest part is being basically just have the time. But the Japanese itself, I don't think it's that complicated. You could disagree with me, but in general, I think grammar is very simple. And of course, because my native language is Spanish, it's very, very far apart from that language. So I guess the difficulty comes to learning words, learning a decent amount of words so you can use them and communicate. And that takes time. I've seen a lot of people cram, 100 words a day, insane amount of reviews, hours and hours of just Anki. And for me, that's just, I described in that previous video that I don't want to do that. I just don't have the time and I don't want to make my journey just Anki. So I guess that leads me to what are my achievements or what I managed to do this year. Let's start with just straightforward to vocabulary. That's kind of the main thing to tackle. If I'm completely honest, I expected to do more. At the beginning, I started doing around 10 words per day. That quickly built up to around 250 reviews. And it takes me every day around an hour to an hour and a half to do those reviews. I normally don't do them in one go. I kind of split some in the morning, some in the night. Once I passed the hour of learning with just Anki, it became very tedious. So for the last 3-4 months, I changed from 10 to 5 new words a day. And that's been more handleable. And I think I'm going to keep at that ratio because, yes, I know some people can do many words, but I just don't like the constant grinding in Anki. I don't know, it gets very annoying for me just to do vocabulary. Granted, I do see the benefit. It's pretty insane how much you start to understand even without not knowing anything else than just isolated words. And I've been consistent for the whole year. You can see it. There's been days that I had to do Anki while just arriving home at 2 a.m. I've done it while being drunk, while just being hungover. And the worst case scenarios, I always do Anki. So my biggest take on this is just try to do Anki as soon as possible in the day, or kind of allocate certain specific times where you can just do Anki. And myself, currently, the building where I'm living, the elevator got damaged, so it's been closed for 4 months already. And so basically I need to go up and down 8 floors every day. It's so stupid. But so I crammed some words there, and that kind of makes me forget that I'm going up stairs 8 floors. And the thing is that I thought that by the third month I will be good at going upstairs, and no, it's still a pain in the ass to just go up. So doing Anki kind of like distracts me from the pain of going up and waiting for the elevator. This is just to say that you can do Anki anywhere. Now, what do I plan to do with this Anki thing in the future? So far for me, it's just completing the 6K core deck, 6K core deck, 2K, 6K. I don't remember. You know better than me. I think it will take me another year and a half probably. Once I finish that, I will kind of like reconsider what to do. Most likely I'll go with Migaku. Yeah, I guess the logical next step would be trying to do, for example, sentence mining. In my previous video, I kind of like teased that I was using remembering the kanji, and I was doing 3 kanjis a day. And I was actually doing flashcards, like physical flashcards, taking a photo and putting them in Anki and then reviewing them. I lasted like 450 kanjis or something like that. Then I realized that, and this is just very personal, remember, this is just my thoughts and my learning process. I think it's kind of like a waste of time if you already started doing vocabulary. By the 450, I was already around 1,000 something words. Anki for me is kind of like brute forcing words that don't make sense and just like trying to do mnemonics in my head to just remember them. But if you have a previous knowledge of the kanji, you most likely are going to remember them very easily. If you can go and you have the will to go through the 2,100 something kanjis that you have in remembering the kanji in one go around 3 months, do it. I think it will come very handy the moment you get to vocabulary and to memorize vocabulary. I just couldn't do it because I don't have the patience to do that, and I just feel it's very boring. So in order to prioritize time, I prefer to drop it. Regarding listening, I had the chance to listen a lot of stuff, man. Like I listened to many podcasts, many series. I don't know how many series I watch. I don't count every hour. I've seen people that they track every hour, every series. They kind of like put it in like an app or something, so they have an overall understanding of how much they listen. I was doing around 4 hours of passive listening. Normally I do it while I'm working, and normally those are also beginner podcasts from YouTube. Right now I have one that is my favorite, but there are two. I kind of enjoy when there are 2 people having a conversation rather than one person just talking about a certain topic. So I think that's why I like so much these 2 channels. I'm going to leave them in I don't know, all the resources are going to be in the comments or in the description of the video. What I was saying is like, I prefer to listen to 2 people having a conversation just because I feel that's how I will interact with the language once I get to use it, rather than just a person explaining me one thing. Instead, when you have 2 people having a conversation, sometimes things happen. Like you just listen to these people rambling around and they go off script and just start saying random shit. I prefer to have like this disorganized version. There are more channels, of course. I have listened to many YouTubers, and that's what I can say. I prefer to listen to people having conversations. There's another YouTube channel, before I forget, that I use a lot. I wasn't expecting it to like it as much. IGN Japan. That channel, I love it. In English, I'm gonna be honest, I just really don't like IGN, especially because it's pretty much just a paid media advertiser. I don't know how IGN works, like how the brand works in different countries, but the Japanese channel is definitely way better. And I think it's mostly because the people in charge of it, or the people that present the channel, the host, they're just likable and like very, I want to say human, I guess, like very relatable. They have long conversations of many video games. They have also conversations about movies, like retro, like a lot of stuff, man. Like it's really, if you like movies and video games, this is a great channel to be into and to do and to use for immersion and listening. On media, I would say I have consumed many series that are beyond my level, like very advanced. Like I watched Dexter. I don't want to misguide you and make you think that I understand everything in Dexter. Not at all. Like right now, my understanding is very low. It's insane, but it's still Japanese. Unintelligible words sometimes come and I don't understand what's happening. But there are moments, I don't know why, but everything aligns and it's like I understand everything, and I really love those moments. But when they happen, it makes me feel happy because I can see progress. Even with anime, sometimes I don't get exactly what's being said, but because this is a video or animation, you can get a lot by context. It's not being boring or anything like that. In fact, I don't mind to not have an understanding of what's happening. I think that's part of the journey. I don't know when I'm going to be able to understand everything, but for the moment, I try to do at least an hour of active listening every day, sometimes less, sometimes more. Let's talk about grammar. The first half of the year, I was very on track, but the last half, I just couldn't put myself onto it. I want to make a video about talking about this topic, but I think you should learn grammar, guys. The way I see it is like, imagine Japanese is this big puzzle that you need to assemble, and grammar is like the cheat code or the guidelines or the instructions of how to assemble this puzzle. In my opinion, I prefer to read the instructions and just make it easy to assemble the actual thing than just go and dive and try to, like, by brute force make it work. I don't have that stigma, and I don't get the stigma that people put on grammar. I guess because grammar in a way means studying or putting yourself, like sitting yourself and just kind of like taking notes, or I don't know. In my case, it's just never been like that. There are videos that explain grammar. Like I watch a lot of Tokini Andi. He has like a good series with Genki 1, Genki 2, and he explains the grammar very well. But nowadays I'm trying to just compensate for that time lost. I'm still using Busuu. It's still the way to go for me. Here's the thing, like there are many apps, and recently I've seen the rise of new apps, very ambitious ones. I don't want an app that do everything, but I get that for marketing reasons, a lot of these new apps and like apps like Busuu too try to sell the app as a tool for pretty much every aspect of the language. And for me, using an app like Busuu, although it gives me a lot, I mostly use it because grammar is just easy to grasp, fast to just like go through the different lessons, and I get pretty much all what I need. Is it the only way to learn grammar? No, like there are plenty of videos, there are books. I would say the other aspects of the app are okay. And this is not a full review, by the way, of Busuu. I'm probably going to do a full review. But it's just to say that I don't need an app that gives me every single thing of the language. And I think that's one of the reasons why most apps that are being launched fail. With a language like Japanese, it's better to focus just in one aspect of the language. I've seen apps focus just in writing kanji, or just focus in learning vocabulary, or focus in reading. An app that could give you grammar through another component, like reading, like I think Link, that's something similar to. If I was a developer of an app, I probably would do that. I will focus in just one or two aspects of the language, like listening, for example, instead of trying to get the whole language in just one go. Worse, even like have a bunch of languages and just try to release them in a mediocre way. I remember I used for French a long time ago, an app called Bavel, and it was kind of okay, but since I tried Busuu, for me, it's just the way to go. I just love it. It's simple enough. I'm not gonna say gamified or anything like that, but it's just didactic. Is that a word in English? Anyway, like it's easy to work on it without feeling that it's a pain. So sadly, I only managed to get to A1. I think it's the first level of Busuu. That, by the way, if you want to have an idea of what is A1 for Busuu, I think A1 in Busuu is equivalent to the first 6 lessons of grammar in Genki 1. I've been also doing Genki for some reasons that I will explain in a moment. I'm not doing every lesson I'm just going to Tokini Andi and just reviewing the lesson with Tokini Andi. If you want to know how much is like A1 and also like the first 6 lessons, it's not even N5. It's very basic. I checked the Genki lessons and Busuu, and they are just almost 101. It's very, very similar. And I bet that most grammar textbooks or things like that are very similar. I know some are different in the way that they teach you first the informal way, and then they explain you more about the formal and different levels of politeness. It doesn't matter to me. That's another complaint that I see often regarding apps, that they teach you on natural ways. Same with books of speaking the language. The way I see it is like I first need to grasp a huge chunk of the language regarding the basics before I start to assimilate concepts that are more familiar or natural to natives. And I get that most people want to sound natural and less like a robot. Those are things that you learn as you go, especially if you eventually immerse in the language, either digitally or actually physically. And if I have to think about it in Spanish, it's like I normally, when I say hi to my friends, I say like something like, hey, ¿qué pasa, marica? ¿Todo bien? A common way to say hello to my close friends, or just in a chill way. But I don't think you should learn that in the first place, because there is some context regarding that way of referring to another person, the familiarity that you have with the other person, and again, a lot of like the situational context that is embedded just because I say hi in that way. Instead, I think people should learn first the regular hola, ¿cómo estás? Hola, buenos días. buenas tardes. Those things are very important. You still will use it. For most of the cases, it's going to be very formal, but I use it all the time. Like when I'm in the elevator, which I don't have anymore. Well, you normally say hello to the person, and you're not gonna say like, "Hey, ¿qué pasa, marica? ¿Qué hace?" I want to elaborate more in this point because there is a lot of things to say about it, but I guess you get what I'm trying to say. So most apps are going to teach you grammar in a very formal way and very structural way. And I get it. Japanese have honorifics and different levels of politeness, which makes it slightly more complex regarding this thing that I'm trying to explain. But at the end of the day, it's the same. You will still need to immerse. And talking about Genki, I mean, the reason why I started using Genki is because around April, I started taking classes on Italki. The reason was because I was trying to wake up early on Mondays because I had this issue that I just keep sleeping late. The week passed by, and by Sunday, I'm just sleeping at 4 a.m. So I decided to put on Monday classes at 7 a.m. so I can wake up early and kind of like reset my schedule. And what I decided to do is just like I was going to take classes of just grammar. And granted, I can learn grammar myself. I don't need to pay for that, but that was the idea. Like just wake up early. What happened is that, I got a teacher in Italki, and she kind of made me realize of how important was to do output. I know another point of contention, but this is my position right now about output. It doesn't harm you to start doing output in the beginning. It doesn't mean trying to be perfect with your speech, not at all. Just try it. That will make your brain start firing associations and just making the speech easier and easier. It's gonna be very painful because you don't know much vocabulary or, again, grammar or anything. The other thing is that most teachers are very, at least the ones that I've seen, they are very helpful. You can just use the class to just solve some doubts or just ask for certain things that you don't understand. It's always good to have like a native speaker actually reassuring you that you are in good track. For those that don't know, Italki is just a platform where you can book teachers and just have private lessons. And in my experience, you can just find someone that suits you well and kind of like communicates in a way that you like. You can also do personalized lessons. It's not necessarily just whatever they offer. You can just send a message to the teacher and just figure out something that works for both. By the way, this is not, this sounds very sponsored, but it's not a sponsor. I really want to leave that clear. And that said, if you want to actually use it, there is an affiliate link. And I know how that sounds, but I've never done this, by the way. So yeah, if you want to try Italki, there is an affiliate link down there. And basically you will get, if you register with my link, you will get $10 for your in credits on Italki for your own classes, and I'll get also $10 as a commission. And this is just another way for me to just keep booking classes there because it's been long enough for me to recommend the platform. I still have those classes. I don't have them as regularly as before, but I'm taking like 2 classes per month. You know what? There's also going to be a link for Busuu in case you want to try it. That's also, I guess, affiliate. I don't know. But basically, you get 30 days of premium, and I also get 30 days of premium. Yeah. Bro, just wait till I get to know companies and ask for a sponsorship. This is going to be madness. No, just kidding. And if there is like one aspect that I have slacked a lot, but really, really a lot, is reading. I actually went ahead and bought like a bunch of manga, and I haven't read one. So that's another big change that I want to do for this year, is just start reading manga. Even if it takes me forever, even if I have to translate word by word, doesn't matter. I think I just want to at least get used to reading. In that order of ideas, I think right now my biggest issues are grammar and reading. And I don't pretend to just be fluent by the second year either. What I realize is that this will take time. And I said this many times in the previous video. But I'm being honest. I don't mind if this takes me 10 years. I think what it matters for me is just being consistent. And also, I guess more important than anything else, is just that I'm having fun in this journey. I'm not just like kind of like putting pressure to myself to just like showcase in YouTube or I don't know to another person that I can speak Japanese. I also don't have the time that many people have, and I don't want to make this an excuse because it's not. It's just that I'm very aware of how to use my time. And I'm saying this because I tend to feel that a lot of people get discouraged because they see all these videos that promise you to speak Japanese in 6 months, or I'm sorry for anyone that has used this in their thumbnails. I don't like it, or just do the JLPT N1 in 1 year. I know some people can do it for sure, but I don't think that should be a goal. I think the goal should be always just to enjoy the process of learning the language. Of course, if you have more time and you can allocate more time to it, well, do it. But if you are like me, that you have very little time, that you cannot just pretend to spend 8 hours a day learning Japanese, 4 hours a day reviewing Anki, you can just do it at the small steps and just prioritize what you like and what you want to learn. And I don't know if this video in some way is disappointing for many of you guys, but to me, like I said at the beginning, it's very fulfilling. I'm very happy just by the fact that I managed to do Japanese, like study Japanese every day. I do see progress. Every day I get surprised of things that I just didn't know before. Like, for example, I took notes of all the grammar points and a lot of kanji stuff. And I've been reviewing my notes because I'm trying to remember so I can take where I left the studies of grammar. And when I was checking my notes, I realized that at the beginning I was writing a lot of furigana and also a lot of romaji. And now it gets very confusing because I don't see the kanjis, and it's like I need to see the kanjis to understand the words. I don't know, the realization that my brain has assimilated a lot of kanjis already made me really, really happy. Another example is just Anki itself. Before, I was kind of like brute forcing every single kanji. And nowadays, I kind of like get a sense immediately of what is the correct reading of every kanji. So when I see the words, it's like, this word should be dash. And it is. It is. And sometimes it's like 4 kanjis in a row and you can immediately guess what is the reading. It's just crazy. Probably not the most insane progress, but it's progress. So from the guide that I made a year ago, probably my only changes are the study of isolated kanji. I no longer do that. Aside of that, also the addition of early output. It's not like I'm speaking every day in Japanese, by the way, but once every 2 weeks. And the help of a teacher once every 2 weeks. Finally, I guess my plans for the future right now is just, as I said, keep consistency, focus a little bit more in reading, and put myself on track with the grammar studies. If I can do that by the end of the year, I'm happy. Hopefully by the 3rd year, I will be able to reach certain goals. I guess that's it, but I want to know what do you think about this kind of like more chill, unscripted video? I'm not really sure. I'm very hesitant of posting this, by the way, and also I forgot the last time in that video, I wanted to put at the end the fact that I want you to share your own thoughts and experiences with Japanese or just learning languages. Bring any advice in the comments to people that are probably finding this video. That'll be awesome because I want to also learn how you learn. I want to see if I can get things of your own journey. And don't forget that this is very personal. I don't pretend that this will work in all the cases. If you like this kind of video, more like me rambling about things, I have a lot of topics regarding languages that I wanted to discuss, like for example, accents and just like proficiency levels, language proficiency tests too. Like there's a lot of stuff that I would like to discuss more in a chill way. So let me know if you have any questions or things regarding all the languages too that you want to know, because I'm very happy to just like talk about this. For now, I guess that's it. See you in the next one.